Hello everyone, Tina here for Pinkfresh Studio. I hope you're having a fabulous day. I'm so glad you're joining me. Today we're going to create a card. We're using the Pinkfresh Studio framed art stamp set, stencil set, and the coordinating die set. And then I'm also going to bring in some nesting dies that are part of the latest release over at Pinkfresh Studio. We're going to be using the nested rectangles diagonal stitched die set along with, we're going to do lots of layering today, along with the nested rectangles postage etch set. I'm going to put all these together and create a fun card. First, let's do our stamping and coloring with our framed art, which I just think the concept of this is so cute. The framed art creates some beautiful artwork. I'm not going to color in all of the images, although the stencils, with the stencils you can. I'm just going to focus on the oranges today. I went ahead and stamped my oranges. I'm going to bring in my grip mat here and we're going to do some stenciling. We'll take stencil number 1 and we're just going to line this up. Now I'm leaving my orange blossom white, so what I'm going to do is bring in a low tack tape and just cover that flower up. That way I know I can leave it white. And in the meantime, we need some inks. These are the inks that we're going to be using for my oranges today. We'll start with Mimosa. For my orange images, I'm going to use my 1-inch blending brush. And we'll just give this a good cover. Takes no time with the 1-inch blending brushes. And I keep the plastic that the blending brushes come in. It just, that way, saves the bristles. Okay, and then I'm going to highlight my oranges with Berrylicious. I'm going to use my 1/2-inch blending brush just to add a little bit, not too much, a little bit of my Berrylicious to the edges here. I think that's just the right amount. We will put this off to the side. I'm going to clean off my stencil and we're going to add our leaf layer next. Stencil number 2 is the leaves to the oranges. So I'm bringing in I'm using my 1/2-inch blending brushes for the leaves since this is a smaller area. We'll add some fresh pear. And then I'm also going to bring in olive, and we'll do a little bit of highlighting with our darker green ink. And that is all there is to that. Stencil number 3 adds some highlights to our leaves. And I'm going to use a brown ink for this. We'll tack this down. I'm using my espresso. And we'll just add some highlights here. I'm going to keep espresso out because for the next layer, layer number 4, we're going to add some detail to our oranges. And I'm going to use my espresso for this. We will go ahead and tack this down. I'm just going to use the ink that's left over on my blending brush and we'll highlight our oranges here. That should be perfect. And our oranges are all done and they look fabulous. Now we're going to go ahead and do our die cutting. For the framed art, we're going to create a frame with the largest frame. This one here. So I'm going to die cut this out with white cardstock. Okay, and then we have 2 nesting dies. I'm going to use the largest postage edge and die cut a panel out with white cardstock. And then on the diagonal stitched die set, I'm going to take the second from the largest and using a pale blue cardstock, I'm going to create a panel with this. And then I'm going to grab the next in line with the postage edge, and I'm going to cut another panel out with white cardstock. And then I'm going to take the smallest postage edge, and I'm going to cut this out with some white cardstock also. I'm hoping I can squeeze it in here. I'm going to run everything through my die cut machine, and I will be right back. Before we put everything together, I'm going to take this postage edge background, okay, and we're going to do some stamping on here. Now, I love the dotted detail that's around my postage edge, so what I'm going to do is take some low tack tape. The low tack tape that I have is clear, and I'm going to cover up that dotted detail in the postage edge. We're just going to mask off I'm just going to mask off all of the sides. Okay, so it's all masked off with the low tack tape. You could use Post-it notes, you could use masking paper, any kind of low tack tape you have would work. Now in our stamp set, we have this floral print. I think we can create a background with this. So I'm going to take that floral print, I'm going to put it on an acrylic block, rub my hands over it, kind of season it a little bit, and then I'm going to create a background with my Pinkfresh Studio Mimosa ink. I'm just going to ink this up, and we're going to stamp right over that tape on one side, give it a good press. I'm going to pick this up, and we're going to move over to the next side, and we'll go ahead and stamp this. And then I'm going to repeat it right underneath it. Give that a good press, and we'll do the next one. For the bottom, I'm just going to add, we'll stamp one more time, and one more time, and we have a background filled with florals. We'll go ahead and put this back, and then we'll take a look at our background. All we do now is remove our low tack tape. We have that white edge of the postage edge. I love the way that looks. It's almost framed in. I'm going to do a little bit more stamping. In our stamp set, we have lots of great greetings. I'm going to stamp a missing you card. So I'm going to use missing you so much, and I'm going to stamp it directly on my framed art panel. For this, I don't trust myself with my ink because I am heavy-handed. I'm bringing in my stamping positioner. I'm using my detail black ink, and I'm stamping it. We're going to stamp it right here. I'm stamping vertical today. I thought we would do something a little bit different than a traditional horizontal greeting. Now we're going to create our framed art. So I'm going to take the top piece here. I'm just going to add little dots of glue on the left and right. And then I'm going to tack down this to my frame. Now for the most part, I'm going to leave my frame white. I do want to add a little color to these two pieces. So I'm going to be using a marker. This is an alcohol marker, and I'm just going to lightly go over it to the left and right with some flicking motions. That way the middle of my frame is still white. This is very subtle. It's probably going to be really hard to see on camera. I think you'll be able to see it in the pictures. Okay, and then I'm going to add some glue to the top here and to the bottom. And then we can add each of these pieces. So much fun. Okay, I'm going to take this postage edge and I'm going to add a little glue behind here. I'm going to tack down this postage edge to the left of my framed art here. And then I'll take my fruit, I'm going to flip it over. We're going to put some foam tape behind here for a little bit of dimension. We'll add that right to the postage edge. So our framed art is good to go. I am going to add some foam tape behind here. Okay, I'm putting this to the side, and now we're going to add our backgrounds to our card base. Today I'm using a top folding A2 size card base. I'm going to go ahead and add my postage edge. Next I'll add adhesive behind my pale blue panel with a diagonal stitch. We're going to just layer these two together. We have a lot of texture in the background. I just love that. Okay, I'm going to take my framed art. I'm going to place it in the center here. We'll go ahead and tack this down. And then I have some black and white baker's twine. I went ahead and tied a bow with it. I think the black and white goes really good with the oranges. I'm just going to use a dot of glue at the top of my framed art here. And I will add a bow. We're going to finish our card off with a little bit of sparkle. I have my Glacier jewels. And we're going to add some shine here. Okay, I think that's just the right amount. I always like to add odd numbers of jewels. And I kind of go at a diagonal with them. We'll just funnel these back in there. And that will finish my card today for Pinkfresh Studio. Kind of a refreshing card. Thanks so much for joining me today. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye-bye.